We are at Shiksa, and I am here with Chef Jason Marcus. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Today we're talking about something a little different for a chef. We're talking about ice cubes and we're talking about drinks, but we're talking about particularly special ice cubes. Tell me a little bit about the ice cubes you guys make here.
We thought what would be a cool way of featuring both the spirit and the direction of cocktail making in New York would be to have all of the cocktail elements sort of encapsulated into an ice cube. So that way as it melts, you're getting a little bit more cocktail and you're seeing how it connects with the spirit. And then by the end of it, when you're kind of, I've had too much spirit, you've got more cocktail.
What are the things that you've learned in your time of experimenting? What are the types of items that work really well in freezing ice cubes, and what are the types of things that just should be avoided?
Well, I mean, naturally what you want to think about is what freezes and what doesn't freeze, right? So sugar doesn't freeze. That's why, part of why sorbet is creamy is because sugar won't freeze even when everything else is frozen. So if you have too much sugar, your ice cubes are not going to freeze properly.
Right.
If you don't have enough sugar, the ice cube won't melt fast enough. So you kind of want to have some sort of a you want to find a balance. Things like that when you're involving salt, definitely. If you want to use something like corn syrup, you can do that because that'll help soften the cube. But if you use too much of it, then it makes it too soft.
Slushy.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the things to consider. I mean, citrus is pretty easy to work with, but like I said, anything involving salt, that definitely changes the equation.
How do you balance the visual side of it with the textural side of it?
Well, the visual for us is that, it's visual. And we know, if we put a chili in the drink, it's there.
It's not adding the flavor as much.
But we try and base off of what's inside the cube. So it's sort of teasing you for what's going to happen. Okay, there's a pineapple leaf in here. There's probably pineapple in here. But it also, in the case of the drinks, they're all kind of stirred, and because the guest needs to stir them, a pineapple leaf or a chili, they also are very functional. It's okay if you put berries in there because you want them to look pretty. Right. They'll look pretty. That's okay. Part of food and cocktail making is aesthetics.
When you're adding in spices or you're adding in certain elements, obviously that can texturally go overboard as well. So how do you maintain the texture? Are you blending everything, or how do you get it there in the beginning?
Yeah, it depends on it's a good question because, like for instance, we do a pina colada cube, and pineapple and coconut, when it's frozen, it's sort of, I'm not exactly sure what the chemistry involved, but it seems to get thicker.
Right.
It doesn't even make sense to me exactly how, but I think there's something enzymatically that's going on with the raw pineapple. So, like for instance, after trial and error, we cook the pineapple first and then puree it and strain it, and that helps with the texture. Same with the coconut milk. But some of those things are just trial and error. I mean, generally speaking, we're cooking, we're pureeing, we're blending it, we're straining it, because we don't want it to be like a slushy. But if you did, then that would be then maybe don't strain it.
So you're going to save us from too much trial and error on one of your recipes. What are you showing us today?
So we're going to do our Mexican spiced old fashioned.
Awesome. Will you show us the steps?
Let's do it.
All right.
So we're going to start our Mexican spiced old fashioned, and an old fashioned is probably one of the original, if not the original cocktails that was made. It's very simple. It's not about masking the spirit, it's about highlighting it. And then on top of that, sort of some of the spices that would naturally be in the bitters that are used in an old fashioned are common in Mexico. So we kind of tweaked that around a little bit, and we sort of put together traditional Mexican spices with what you might find in the bitters that would go into an old fashioned, and we made an ice cube out of it that will melt into an old fashioned. So on this tray we have all of these exciting spices. We have cumin, black pepper, cardamom, coriander seed, allspice, arbol chili, ancho chili. This is wormwood flour, and that's what's going to give it the bitter element. This is a little vanilla puree, cinnamon, cloves, and ginger. And so we take all of these things, put them in a little pot here. So what else is in the pot is the juice of these guys: grapefruit, lime, and orange. Traditionally, orange would be the flavor in an old fashioned, but we kind of wanted to give it the more of a complex citrus balance. So we use peel from all of the citrus items: lime, orange, and grapefruit. And grapefruit is specifically nice because it's really going to give it an extra bitter dimension, and it works really nice with wormwood. A little bit of water is going to go in there, some sugar, and then a little bit of molasses and honey as well. And then we simmer this for half an hour. So after we've simmered all the ingredients and strained it, we're gonna end up with a liquid that looks like this brown, murky lake of goodness. And then we poured in these ice cubes, just like that. And then what we found is, if you take a nice orange peel, which is both functional and ornamental, it kind of helps hold this chili in place here. So we'll wrap it around it. It kind of keeps the chili into the cube. Otherwise, the buoyancy of the chili just comes floating out. And then it'll freeze just like so. And then it works nice because it's a little handle. So once you have the ice cube ready to go, this is tequila that we call it bourbon. So we added some roasted wood and nuts and a little bit of vanilla and some fruits to basically kind of give it a bourbon vibe. So we're gonna pour it over. It'll start to melt in there. And what's nice is the first couple of sips, it allows the guest to taste the tequila itself. And then, probably about 30 seconds later, they'll start to get the infusion of the cube. And then a couple of minutes into it, it's like they're drinking an old fashioned. So I just want to thank you for joining me today. This is Chef Jason Marcus of Shiksa Restaurant in Williamsburg.